Thank you so much, and a huge pleasure to be with everyone. Well, tonight here in where I am on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. And I'm wondering if you knew that we are, including myself, on this video conference tonight in a way, partially thanks to the genius of a trans woman, Lynn Conway. Lynn made a major breakthrough, putting this in plain language for not so IT geeky people like me, regarding multiprocessing in supercomputers in the late 1960s. This moved computing from those computers that are the size of the room I'm in now to the size of the laptop I'm looking at now. And in a way, that breakthrough allowed us to use internet for tonight rather than that 1960s means of communication, telegrams, which I doubt would have worked as well as video conferencing. What an amazing piece of creative genius that deserves huge total commendation and acclaim. IBM's response when Lynn announced her need to be her authentic self re her gender, IBM fired her. Sadly, these extreme paradoxes of genius being met with abuse are all too common. For trans and gender diverse people, a group of human beings simply wanting to just live and achieve our potential like all other human beings. Whether it's in areas relating to employment, like Lynn, areas of service provision, including healthcare, housing, aged care, these situations can and do put up really high hurdles that even stop us or limit us achieving our potential. Transgender Victoria has, for over 20 years, and we missed a birthday party in lockdown here, earned the trust of trans and gender diverse communities in Victoria and our allies while blasting away those barriers that have been put in our paths and creating freeways for a smoother journey through life for trans and gender diverse people. In Victoria, we've been pioneering leaders. Federally, we have been and are partners in policy and law reforms such as discrimination protection, birth certificate and passport reforms. The latter meant that a trans person who wrote to us and told us about how she could now travel safely and comfortably back to her country of origin to see her family again. Something she never thought that might happen. Our trans and gender diverse and rainbow diversity training has had human resources professionals of 20 years experience happily proclaiming it is the most informative and professionally presented training they have ever undertaken. There is praise for the puns and sense of humour of the trainers, although perhaps less praise than for the content and delivery of the training itself. Our consultancy work creates go-to resources, including guidelines, making it really easy for an employer to partner with an employee affirming their authentic gender in a workplace. Our trans and gender diverse people and health professionals are grateful to Transgender Victoria's visibility and fast responses when needing referrals to inclusive services. Our trailblazing family violence prevention project, We Deserve, created resources to clearly demonstrate diverse forms of affirming and positive and respectful relationships for trans and gender diverse people. Our current partnership with the Victorian Department of Premier and Cabinet to tap into trans genius via the Trans Peer Support Project will see programs created by trans and gender diverse people for trans and gender diverse people. This will boost both the self-esteem of the creators and the recipients of the programs, both in the short and the long term. The amazing length, depth and breadth of our initiatives shows in all certainty we are involved in all areas of trans and gender diverse life in Victoria and sometimes beyond. So with your support in our aim of $36,000, for example, with $1,200, we could run a training session monthly for an organisation, for an individual or organisations who would not otherwise be able to attend due to financial constraints, thereby creating more inclusive services and inclusive employers. $6,000 could help us market that training for a year. Alternatively, $7,500 can help us support our dedicated people, both paid staff and volunteers, by paying for a part-time human resources consultants. That's a gap that really needs filling regarding our current infrastructure. So please work with us in partnership, and that is in our efforts to create smoother pathways for trans and gender diverse people. And who knows, it might just contribute to creating more genius in IT, including resolving issues with Australia's NBN. All right, no one can really fix all of that. But seriously, we'll gladly settle for your partnering with us to assist in smoothing the freeway for one more Lynn Conway.
So many promises made to fix the NBN. Sally, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. If you have a question, you know where to ask it down in the Ask a Question section. Sally, I'm really interested with your work with Transgender Victoria and how much you've seen a shift when you've been going in to do those training modules in workplaces or organisations around, you know, understanding, I guess, and support for transgender people in our community.
It has shifted over time. Someone myself who has been, I'll say, out for 25 years, but doing that sort of education and communication for most of it. When, say, in 2000, early 2000s, we first started doing this, often no one would have met a trans person at all, including, say, people from gay and lesbian communities. And now, you know, sort of increasingly, we get people saying they've met trans people, worked with trans clients, or sometimes we ask, you know, is your knowledge of trans less than gay and lesbian or more? And one time we had someone put their hand up comfortably and say, yes, I know more about trans because I'm the parent of a trans young person, which was so heartwarming. So it's shifting and the ripples are spreading. We just naturally want to keep them spreading further and smoothly and faster, I suppose. Yeah.
Wonderful. Question here from Anna. How many people identify as trans or gender diverse in Victoria, and even the question is Australia as well?
Yeah, I'll take that figure for Australia because based on a survey that emerged a few years ago, that figure put a conservative figure of 1.2% of the population. So roughly, if we're talking Australia, I'll do some maths in my head based on my original accounting background and say 250,000 people. I can do maths in my head. I'll never make federal treasurer. No, I didn't say that. But seriously, my question, which I do say, is where are they all? I haven't met them all, and that shows why there is such a huge need for us. That isolation is still there for so many trans people, particularly in the more, say, sparsely populated areas of Victoria and Australia where there's less connection and, well, in all seriousness, often less internet access and that sort of thing. So really, really important that we can reach more and get the visibility for trans people of all intersecting backgrounds going.
One more question before we let you go. This one has come through from Alexander, who says, how do young people get involved with Transgender Victoria, particularly in an advocacy capacity?
They can contact us via our website at tgv.org.au, not to be confused with the French fast rail organisation of the same letters. And our fabulous volunteer and development coordinator, Darcy, they, them, who just loves to meet people, will set up an interview, find out what skills they have, what they're interested in developing, including advocacy and whatever capacity it is. And we go from there. So, yeah, hop onto our website and contact us if you're interested in being involved in any way.
Are you able to answer all those railway questions that come to you instead of going to the...
Not the railway ones, but I have to say the number of times where Transgender Victoria has had someone contact us and say, hi, I'm in Vancouver, and it's the other Victoria, which is a very nice place in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. We can't quite help as much there, even in this day and age of internet.
It's been so nice to hear from you tonight, and you'll see so many wonderful messages on the side there supporting your presentation and the work that you do. Thank you very much, Sally.
Thank you so much. And yeah, well, look, I can't help Andrea with a ticket from Paris to Lyon, but maybe Melbourne to Ballarat might have to somehow suffice.
Wonderful. And good luck tonight. We're very excited.